But in this particular case, I'm going to use the shape, and let me here go to my shape, and I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to go back to the basic line. And actually, I just need a fill, so it could just be a solid shape like this. The color doesn't matter because it's just like a 3D print, so it's just like a shape, a profile, a silhouette, whatever. It could be a silhouette of one of the team members. So here on Window, I'm gonna click on 3D and Materials. And we have the three basic 3D functions, which are extrude. No, well, the two basic ones are extrude and revolve. And there's this really cool one called inflate. So extrude. So if I click here, like basically that's what it does. It like basically creates some depth. There's also like a twist. It looks kind of like interesting. Revolve. What revolve is going to do is like revolves like around an axis, which is going to be the center of the shape. Wherever is the center of your shape, that is going to be the axis of the revolve. But in this particular case, I like I'm going to do the inflate. Inflate is pretty fun. And using this dial here, you can actually rotate your object. And you can play with, there's a taper. I can go back to the extrude. Just a little bit of extrusion, a little bit of inflate. I'm just gonna leave it like this. Okay, that's it. That's my 3D model. I'm done. So now I'm gonna click here and say export 3D object. There's this like little button here. And it says export asset. And then over here, it says scale 3x. I'm just gonna do it, yeah, 3x, that's the size of the object. But then on my export format, I'm gonna choose OBJ, which is a 3D format. And select which one you want to export and where you want to export it. I'm going to export it on the desktop. I'm going to change the name to test. Okay, and then export desktop. So what Illustrator does is that it will create a folder with the name of the format, OBJ, and it's just gonna put them in there. And like the one that I just created is called test. So this is like the shape that I created. It's flat on one side, and then it's round on the other side. It's like tapered. Okay. So now the next step, so I don't want you to spend too much time designing your shape on your teams of 3, is that you're gonna load up Orca Slicer. And this is the software that you just downloaded. And you're gonna click on New Project. And the first time that you run Orca Slicer, is gonna ask you for which printer do you have, you know? So you're gonna get a dialog like this. Let me see. Oh, there you go. Okay, it showed up. When you run Orca for the first time, you're gonna get a window like this. It has a database of like pretty much all the existing 3D printers. This is like the most like comprehensive slicing software that is out there. So the code that is generated for each print is it's for that particular printer. So we need to look for that hardware, and the one that we have is called Adventure 5M Pro. So you're just gonna go ahead and click on all the checkboxes and then click confirm. I'm not gonna do this because I already have this printer, but once you have this, I'm actually gonna click confirm. And then the next step is gonna ask you which materials you wanna bring. So you can raise your hand and I can come to your group, but you wanna bring in the filament, the PLA. So this is what the interface looks like. It's a lot like any 3D modeling program. So this is like Blender, like you can orbit. If you click and drag, you can orbit on your table like this. With the 2 fingers, you can like zoom in and out. Click and drag is going to be rotate. So I'm gonna go to my shape that I just created, which is called test OBJ. And all you have to do is drag and drop into the table. Because this is coming from Illustrator, it actually comes in with a color, and it's saying like map filament. Don't worry about that. Like, you can just say okay. That doesn't matter. Okay, so here's my object. It's so tiny. But over here, I have some controllers. So the first one is move, rotate, and scale. So here on scale, I'm gonna go ahead and like put in like the size, and I have it like set in inches, and I want my object to be 1 inch. So that's how it looks like. The software will automatically get the best possible orientation for it, so it like doesn't use as much support material. So like when you click here on this A, auto orient, what it's gonna do is it's gonna like put it on the best possible orientation. And then over here, we have a lot of data that can be like a little bit like intimidating at the beginning when you're starting, but I'm not gonna like dive like too deep on this. But the important part is that you choose the right filament and the right nozzle. So the right nozzle for us is the 0.2 millimeters, 0.4 millimeters nozzle. And the filament, make sure that we're using the generic, it could be like a generic PLA. So sorry, I have like this one. And that's it. Like the next step is to click preview. And this is like a pretty interesting view here, because you can, like when you use like this scroll, you can see the process of your 3D print. And this stuff that you see here is the infill. If I go back here to prepare and I look at strength, the infill, we have different types. So the default is 15%, but I can say, for example, 2%. And now preview. Look at that. It's basically just a shell. And like by using this in there, you can see how it's going to close in. Now here you're gonna have some problems because you have no support material for the next layer. So I already know that this is gonna be a fail print, because from this layer, when it starts closing in, there's not gonna be, like, there's one step where I'm not gonna have, it might work, but I might not have enough support for this new layer, not enough infill. So maybe like, I'm gonna leave it at maybe 7%. Let's see how that how that looks. It could work. Let's give it a shot. The default is 15, so let's just leave it at that. Sometimes the defaults are like the best, especially when you're starting. Okay, so I want to point out like a few things that this is gonna tell you. So one of them is, you know, like this is like actually like this thing called G code, which is the code that we're gonna bring into the printer, and it can actually tell you like the amount of filament that you're gonna use. Okay, so I'm gonna click here on export G code file. This one is gonna be called test, so I'm gonna like save it there. And now I'm gonna get a USB. So we just get like a USB from the printer room. And I'm gonna take that code that I just created. This test G code, and I'm gonna put it on the USB drive. There it is. So I can eject. Okay. And that's it. That's all you need to do. I'm gonna end up this.